I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This one's wife. I let Harry meet the Vice President. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife regards everybody, and that's everybody, there are no exceptions, as objects. She doesn't consciously think about people in that way, but because of her narcissism, people are toasters, television sets, washing machines, i.e., they are there to serve a purpose for her. They are expected to perform regularly and without interruption or failure to provide her with what she requires. When you switch your television set on, you expect it to provide you with a range of programs that you can watch. You don't have a conversation with your television set. You're not in love with your television set. It is there to do what you require of it. And if it doesn't work, well, you might shout and swear at it, and you'll go and replace it. This one's wife regards people in a similar way. They are there to serve her purposes. Her narcissism dictates that they are there to be controlled, in a way that a washing machine does what it's told. You put the clothing in, you add the detergent, you select the appropriate program, you press the buttons, and it does what's required of it. It doesn't argue, it doesn't protest, it doesn't obstruct, it gets on with it. And thus people are expected to behave in a similar way. And this is just the same for this one's wife as a narcissist. The people are expected, in the appropriate circumstances, to provide her with fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. They are there to serve her needs. Harry and the Vice President are objects which are there to serve the needs of this one's wife. Harry is the intimate partner primary source in this one's wife's fuel matrix, and the Vice President of Columbia is a non-intimate secondary source in the fuel matrix. This one's wife operates with a sense of ownership over Harry. He is her possession. He belongs to her. We've seen this repeatedly, where she asserts this ownership over him as a consequence of the physical touching that she engages in. Placing a hand on his back, commonly placing a hand on his leg, even though he's not reciprocating, reaching for his hand to take hold of it. It's in a similar way that you would pick up an object that belongs to you and carry it around and put it down somewhere else and then pick it up and move it around and so forth. This one's wife treats Harry as a possession. This also means that when it comes to him doing anything, it's at her permission. Harry is a grown man. Yes, he often behaves like a hot-headed ginger child, but he is an adult. He has his own thoughts, not many of them admittedly, but they're there. But as this independent individual, he is allowed to conduct his life in a particular way, but not when it comes to this one's wife. His sole purpose for existing is to facilitate what she requires, to do what she wants of him. Indeed, he is expected to anticipate her needs and requirements almost telepathically. And because of this, she is the one that allows Harry to go and do what he does. Ignore the fact that he's a grown man. He's the one that's told to go and stand over there, that he's allowed to go and play polo with Nacho Figueras, that he's allowed to go and have some beers, that he's allowed to pop out down the shops. She is his keeper, his captor, and engages in this behaviour driven by her narcissism to ensure that he is kept under control, and therefore whatever he does is only done with her approval. And if he does something against that, even though most people would say, well, he's allowed to go and do things on his own if he wants, that of course amounts to a threat to control, which will result in him being painted black, and there will then follow some form of malign manipulation. This one's wife has a massive sense of importance. She's self-absorbed. She operates with self-interest. She thinks that she is important and meaningful. The pictures that you have seen on your screen as I've been speaking to you sum up the mindset of this one's wife, whereby you would think that she was the real royal and Harry had married in. As you can see from the pictures, she stands there beaming as she introduces Harry to the Vice President. Harry is the real royal. He is a prince by birth. And whilst many of you may well say, well, why should he be afforded special privileges just by accident of birth? And I can understand such a view. The fact is, he is deemed to be a prince. And with that, certain people believe that that means treating him in a particular way. But that is his title that has been afforded to him by his birthright. He was then granted the Duke of Sussex by his late grandmother. This one's wife is not a princess by birth. She would be Princess Henry by virtue of marriage, which of course would soon translate into Princess This One's Wife, as we all know that is how she would want to be regarded. And of course she became the Duchess of Sussex as a consequence of the conferring of the title by the late Queen Elizabeth II. Looking at these photographs, though, you'd be hard-pressed to think that she was the one that married in and Harry was the original deal. There she stands, introducing the two of them. Now, there'd be some that would say, well, she's simply introducing her husband to the Vice President, but remember, we know it's more than that because of her narcissism. We know that what's really going on is that she's essentially granting permission for Harry to have this interaction because she regards herself as the important one there. She's the star of the show. Let me bring these two people together in front of me. They can have my blessing because after all, I am Saint This One's Wife, a living saint. Here I am bringing together the Vice President of Colombia and my husband, a prince. See how remarkable and powerful I am. See how magnanimous I am in my time, that I allow these two people to meet one another. There they are in my presence, basking in the glow of my brilliance. This is in effect how this one's wife conducts herself, and it demonstrates the extent to which Harry has fallen, that a prince by birth, a grown man, is treated in this way, whereby, and the pictures don't lie, show him as the one being introduced by his wife to the Vice President, as if she were the real royal doing the introducing, and he is the Johnny-come-lately, rather than, of course, it being the other way around. Once again, the arrogance, the grandiosity, the delusion, and the sense of entitlement of this one's wife, because of her narcissism, looms large. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.